Did you know that nearly 70% of people believe in finding the one? It's a dream that many chase, thinking it will bring them everlasting happiness. But here's the shocking truth: research shows that this search often leads to disappointment and loneliness. In fact, according to a study from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, people who obsess over finding a soulmate report lower relationship satisfaction than those who focus on building connections with multiple people. So, what if I told you that the idea of the one could actually hold you back from real love? Instead of waiting for that perfect match to complete you, what if you could find happiness and fulfillment right now? In this video, we'll explore why chasing after the one might not be the best path. We'll dive into fascinating insights about relationships and happiness that challenge everything you thought you knew about love. Get ready to discover the myths behind romantic ideals, the power of connections with many people, and how embracing imperfections can lead to deeper bonds. Together, we'll reveal strategies to help you create love rather than just search for it. Are you ready to change the way you think about relationships? Let's get started. Chapter 1: The Myth of the One, Why It's Holding You Back. The idea of finding the one is powerful, romantic, and endlessly fascinating. But is it really good for us? Studies show it might actually be holding us back from real happiness. The belief in the one is rooted in centuries-old ideas about love, often influenced by fairy tales, movies, and cultural stories that promise one perfect soulmate for each of us. Yet, according to Dr. John Gottman, a leading relationship expert, lasting love has less to do with perfection and more with commitment, understanding, and mutual respect. This means that the one concept can be a misleading distraction. When we fixate on finding a perfect match, we often miss out on genuine connections. A survey by Match.com found that nearly 60% of singles feel pressure to find the one, and many feel disappointed when relationships don't feel like a fairy tale. The problem? This pressure often makes people set unrealistically high standards that no one can live up to. Love isn't about discovering the perfect person, it's about finding someone who fits well with you in real, imperfect ways. So how can we change this mindset? Start by shifting focus from an idealized soulmate to a real partner. Instead of asking, "Is this person my forever love?" try asking, "Does this person support, respect, and grow with me?" Studies in psychology suggest that people who seek growth-oriented relationships rather than idealized ones tend to be happier in their partnerships. Recognizing this can free you to enjoy meaningful relationships without the stress of finding the one. Another factor to consider is that the concept of the one can set us up for failure. Research published in the Journal of Marriage and Family shows that people who believe in destiny are more likely to give up on relationships when conflicts arise. The reason? When you expect a perfect match, you might be less willing to work through tough times. So, let go of the myth. Embrace the fact that real love involves growth, compromise, and patience. It's about building, not just finding. Chapter 2: The Real Secret to Fulfillment, Finding the Many. What if instead of focusing on finding the one, we found the many? By this, I mean not just romantic partners but a full spectrum of connections that fulfill us. Research by the Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest studies on happiness, found that people who maintain close relationships with family, friends, and community are generally healthier and happier. So, relying on one person for all emotional needs? Not realistic, or even healthy. Start by asking yourself, what other connections can bring joy, comfort, and meaning to my life? Look to friends, family, mentors, and even communities based on hobbies or interests. Studies show that people with varied social support networks are more resilient to life's challenges and experience less anxiety and depression. When you stop depending on a single perfect person to fulfill every need, you free yourself from the pressure of needing to find the one. Building the many isn't just about social fulfillment. It's also a strategy for personal growth. Think of each connection as a way to learn something about yourself and the world. Friends challenge you, family supports you, colleagues inspire you. Every relationship brings something unique that deepens your sense of belonging and purpose. Instead of searching for the one, start seeking the many to enrich different parts of who you are. A great strategy here is to practice what psychologists call social diversification. This means intentionally building relationships in various areas of your life: professional, personal, spiritual, recreational. Instead of trying to find everything in one person, cultivate connections that each bring out a different strength or quality in you. This way, you create a balanced support system that isn't solely dependent on one person's love. Chapter 3: Learning to Love the Imperfect, the Power of Flaws and Growth. One of the most freeing strategies in love is embracing imperfection. Dr. Brené Brown, a renowned researcher on vulnerability, states that imperfection is a form of freedom. This idea of perfection can trap us, and many people unknowingly build up a checklist of qualities that a partner must have. But studies show that focusing too much on finding a perfect partner can backfire, leading to dissatisfaction and missed opportunities. Instead of seeking a flawless partner, focus on finding someone who is committed to growth. Research indicates that couples who view their relationships as journeys rather than destinations report higher satisfaction and resilience. Relationships grow deeper and more fulfilling over time when both partners accept each other's imperfections and work on improving together. A practical strategy here is what relationship experts call positive regard. This means valuing your partner as they are, flaws and all. Rather than seeing imperfections as deal breakers, see them as chances to grow and learn together. This doesn't mean settling, but rather understanding that every relationship will require compromise, patience, and a bit of grace. By letting go of the expectation for perfection, you're able to focus on what really matters: respect, shared goals, and kindness. An interesting fact: couples who accept each other's imperfections are 30% more likely to stay together long term, according to a study from the University of California, Berkeley. Why? Because it fosters trust, patience, and a sense of shared purpose. When you embrace the imperfect, you find room to build real, lasting love. Finally, remind yourself that imperfections are what make each person unique. Imagine if everyone were the same, with the same traits and habits. Life would be boring, and so would relationships. Embracing differences allows you to experience new perspectives and appreciate the quirks that make people human. It's about learning to celebrate what makes each other different rather than trying to fit each other into a mold. Chapter 4: Happiness Starts With You, Becoming Your Own Best Partner. Let's face it, if we want fulfilling relationships, we have to start with ourselves. When you invest in your own happiness, you naturally become more attractive, resilient, and fulfilled. Studies support this idea. A Journal of Happiness Studies report found that people who actively work on self-compassion and self-acceptance are 60% more likely to experience satisfying relationships. Why? Because they aren't relying on someone else to complete them. Becoming your own best partner means learning to enjoy your own company. It's about developing interests, nurturing your own well-being, and setting personal goals. This doesn't mean you don't want or need a partner. Rather, it means your happiness doesn't solely depend on someone else's love. When you're happy alone, you're better equipped to choose a partner who truly complements you, rather than someone who simply fills an emotional gap. Self-care is a big part of this journey. Practicing self-compassion, as Dr. Kristen Neff describes, is essential. Instead of criticizing yourself for past relationship mistakes, learn to forgive yourself. When you treat yourself with kindness, you build confidence and emotional resilience, which are key for a strong relationship. Remember, being your own best partner isn't selfish, it's self-respecting. A great strategy here is to try daily affirmations or mindfulness exercises. By regularly affirming your strengths and reflecting on what you're grateful for, you increase your self-worth. Studies show that people who practice gratitude are more likely to feel satisfied in their relationships. Why? Because they're approaching love from a place of fullness, not lack. When you appreciate yourself, you're less likely to settle for less than you deserve. Another tip is to create a self-love list. Write down 10 things you love about yourself, from your sense of humor to your ambition. Revisit this list often. It's a reminder that you bring a lot to the table. When you're confident in who you are, you won't look for the one to validate you. Instead, you'll look for someone who enhances your already fulfilling life. Chapter 5: The Unexpected Joy of Living in the Moment. Letting go of future fantasies. One of the biggest traps in relationships is getting lost in fantasies about the future. It's easy to imagine a perfect life with someone, but often, these fantasies can cloud the reality of who that person is. According to Dr. Terry Orbuck, author of Finding Love Again, People who focus on the now rather than what might be report higher relationship satisfaction. Why? Because they're focused on what's real, not just what they hope for. Living in the moment means letting go of the idea of an idealized future. It's about focusing on how your partner makes you feel today, not just who they might become someday. A study by Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that people who obsess over future fantasies are 35% more likely to feel disappointed in their relationships. Instead of building castles in the air, enjoy the experiences you're having right now. Mindfulness can be a powerful tool here. Practicing mindfulness, whether through meditation or simply paying closer attention to your partner, helps you focus on the present. The American Psychological Association has shown that people who practice mindfulness experience less stress and more satisfaction in relationships. When you're grounded in the now, you're better able to appreciate small moments of connection and joy. A simple strategy to stay present is to schedule regular check-ins with yourself and your partner. Ask yourself, how do I feel today? What's making me happy in this relationship right now? And encourage your partner to do the same. These check-ins keep you both focused on what's working and can help prevent future expectations from clouding the present. If you found this content valuable, don't forget to subscribe. Join our community for more insights on relationships and happiness. Let's continue to explore how we can build meaningful connections together.